It always happens at the same time. You go to bed at midnight. You sleep deeply for a few hours. And then, with no alarm, no noise, no nightmare, you open your eyes in the dark. You look at the clock. It's 3 a.m. For a few minutes, you just lie there. Your heart is beating slightly faster than it should. Your mind starts spinning. Old memories, things you said years ago, people you haven't thought about in months. A strange unease you can't explain. You eventually fall back asleep. By morning, you've forgotten it ever happened. But tomorrow it will happen again. And the night after that. You're not alone. About 1 in 5 adults wakes up at exactly this hour, almost every single night. And what's happening inside your body in those minutes is not random. It's not insomnia. It's not stress. It's a 300,000-year-old program. And it's running on schedule. For most of human history, this was not a problem. It was just a part of being alive. Nobody in the ancient world owned a clock. Nobody knew what 3 a.m. meant. They just knew there was an hour between night and dawn when something strange happened. The body went still. The mind went quiet. And sometimes you woke up. Different cultures gave it different names. The Swedes called it Vargtimmen, the hour of the wolf. The medievals called it the time between the dog and the wolf, the moment when the world flips from one kind of darkness to another. In hospitals, doctors quietly say it's when most patients die. Soldiers and special forces are taught it's the best hour to attack because the human body, every human body, is at its weakest. For a long time, science had no explanation. Then, in the last 30 years, researchers at universities around the world started looking inside the body during these exact hours. And what they found rewrote everything we thought we knew about sleep. Turns out your body doesn't wake up at 3 a.m. by mistake. Your body wakes up at 3 a.m. because, for almost all of human history, that's when you were supposed to be awake. In 2022, a team of researchers at the Oregon Health and Science University published a study in Frontiers in Neuroscience. They wanted to understand a strange spike in human biology, something called the cortisol awakening response. Cortisol is your body's alarm hormone. It's what makes you alert. It's what gets you out of bed in the morning. For decades, scientists assumed your cortisol started rising when you opened your eyes. That waking up triggered the surge. That's not what they found. The team monitored cortisol levels in volunteers across 2 different sleep protocols. They tracked the hormone hour by hour all night long. And the spike, the moment when your body floods itself with the chemical that makes you alert, did not begin at sunrise. It began at 3:40 a.m. every single night, in nearly every healthy adult. 3 hours before they were supposed to wake up, their bodies started preparing for the day. Cortisol levels rose by as much as 75%. Heart rate ticked up. Body temperature began to climb back from its lowest point. The brain, still mostly asleep, was already getting ready to come online. For most people, this happens silently. You sleep right through it. But for about 15 to 20% of adults, the surge is strong enough to pull them out of sleep entirely. They open their eyes. They look at the clock. And they see the same number night after night because their bodies are running a chemical alarm that has no snooze button. The researchers gave this surge a name, the cortisol awakening response. But what they didn't fully explain is why it exists at all. Why would evolution build a system that wakes you up before dawn, every single night, for no apparent reason? The answer is in another study from 30 years earlier, and it's stranger than the first. In 1992, a psychiatrist named Thomas Wehr at the National Institute of Mental Health did something that no one had thought to try before. He took healthy volunteers and removed every trace of artificial light from their lives. No lamps, no screens, no street lights through the window. For 1 full month, they lived in 14 hours of darkness every single night. The first 3 weeks, nothing unusual happened. They slept a little longer than normal, catching up on years of accumulated exhaustion. But by week 4, every single participant settled into the same pattern. They slept for about 4 hours. Then they woke up, not groggy, not anxious, wide awake. They stayed awake for about 2 hours, lying quietly in the dark. And then they fell back asleep for another 4 hours until dawn. Nobody told them to do this. Nobody suggested it. Their bodies just did it, as if some ancient program had been waiting inside them, buried under a century of artificial light. Wehr measured their hormones during those wakeful hours, and what he found was extraordinary. Their brains were producing massive amounts of prolactin, the same hormone released during deep meditation and after orgasm. The participants reported feeling peaceful, reflective, almost euphoric. They told where they had never, in their entire lives, felt so awake. This wasn't insomnia. This was a forgotten state of human consciousness. For at least 300,000 years, your ancestors did not sleep the way you sleep right now. They slept in two phases. They went to bed shortly after sunset, slept for 4 hours, woke up in the middle of the night, stayed awake for 1 to 2 hours, and then slept again until morning. Historians later confirmed this. A researcher named Roger Kirch found over 500 references to it in old books, court records, and personal letters. People called it first sleep and second sleep. They prayed during the gap. They talked to their partners. They wrote. They simply lay in the dark and thought about their lives. That window between sleeps was considered the most spiritual, most creative hour of the day. And then we lit up the world. We installed street lamps. We invented the light bulb. And within 2 generations, the gap disappeared. The night, which had always been broken in half, became one continuous block. But your body never got the memo. Right now, inside you, there is still a clock that thinks it's living in the year 50,000 BC. It still drops your body temperature to its lowest point at around 4 a.m. It still releases the same surge of cortisol your ancestors used to ease them out of their first sleep. It still produces the same prolactin that used to put them in a near meditative state during the gap. Still does all of this every single night. The only difference is that you are no longer expecting it. You are sleeping in a sealed room with blackout curtains, wearing earplugs, having taken melatonin, dreaming on a memory foam mattress. And then your ancient body, on its ancient schedule, sends a chemical signal that used to mean it's time to wake up and watch the fire. If you wake up, you panic. You check the clock. You start calculating how few hours you have left. You think about your job, your bills, your mistakes. The mind that used to drift in peaceful reflection now runs in tight, anxious circles. And here's what's strange. Your brain is biologically more vulnerable in those minutes than at any other time of day. Your serotonin is at its lowest. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that regulates fear and perspective, is still mostly offline. The part of you that's awake at 3 a.m. is not the rational part. It's the older part, the part that 10,000 years ago was supposed to be scanning the dark for predators. This is why everything feels worse at 3 a.m. The argument from yesterday is now a catastrophe. The mistake from a decade ago is now your defining failure. Your relationship is doomed. Your career is over. You will die alone. None of this is true, but your body doesn't know that. Your body thinks you're awake because something is wrong, and it's flooding your bloodstream with the chemicals it would need to fight or run. By 7 a.m., the same thoughts feel ridiculous. By 9 a.m., you've forgotten them entirely. But your body remembers, and tomorrow it will do it all again. There is one more layer to this, and it might be the strangest part. Anthropologists studying ancient hunter-gatherer groups have noticed something they call the guardian effect. In every traditional human community, people have different sleep schedules. Some go to bed early and wake at dawn. Some stay up late and sleep until mid-morning. A few wake up in the deep middle of the night. This isn't random. Researchers studying the Hadza tribe in Tanzania, one of the last groups on Earth still living something like the original human lifestyle, found that across a 20-person camp, there was almost never a single moment when every adult was asleep at the same time. Someone was always awake, always watching. Nobody assigned this. Nobody took shifts. The variation in human chronotypes, the natural mix of early birds and night owls and middle-of-the-night risers, meant the tribe always had a guard, simply because human biology made it so. If you are a person who wakes up at 3 a.m., you may be carrying a very old job description. For most of human history, the people who woke at this hour were not malfunctioning. They were the watchers. They were the ones who tended the fire while everyone else slept. They were the ones who heard the sound in the brush before anyone else did. They were the reason the tribe survived the night. Your discomfort in those minutes is not a flaw in your biology. It is a feature your ancestors spent hundreds of thousands of years selecting for. The reason you wake up alert with your heart slightly elevated, your senses sharper than they are at any other point in the day, is because that was once a survival skill. The world doesn't need watchers anymore. There are no predators in your bedroom. There is no fire to tend. The job your body is preparing you for has not existed for 10,000 years. But the program is still running, and it doesn't know that. Tonight, you will probably wake up at around 3 a.m. Most people do, even when they don't remember it. You will lie there for a few minutes. Your body will feel slightly off. Your mind will reach for something to worry about, and it will find something because that's what minds do at this hour. But now you know what's happening. You know that the cortisol rising in your blood was designed to ease you out of a sleep that ended 1,000 generations ago. You know that the quiet wakefulness your ancestors prized as the most reflective hour of their lives is the same wakefulness you're treating as a disorder. You know that somewhere in the dark, in the year 50,000 BC, someone with the same body as yours sat by a fire and felt exactly what you're feeling right now. They didn't think they were broken. They thought they were on watch. The next time you wake up at 3 a.m., try this. Don't check the clock. Don't reach for your phone. Don't fight to fall back asleep. Just lie there in the dark and let your body do what it has been doing for 300,000 years. Somewhere underneath the anxiety, underneath the spinning thoughts, there is a state of consciousness that almost no modern human ever experiences. Your ancestors knew it. They considered it sacred. You have access to it every single night. You just have to stop running from it long enough to notice it's there.